Looking for the edge? Welcome to Tea Time to Overtime. From the first tee to the final whistle, we're serving up game day insights, expert analysis, and can't miss betting picks. Whether you're riding the hot hand, chasing the underdog, or just here for the love of the game, we've got you covered. Like, subscribe, let's hit the action. This is Tea Time to Overtime. The game starts now. As we get the NFL kicked off after week one, we have quite a few injuries to talk about. And when we talk about the injury report here, we're not going to go over every little thing. We're going to go over the big guys, the ones that are going to change the power rankings. We're going to talk about the ones that are going to change the spread. We're going to talk about the things that affect the spread and the money and where and how the bets are going to be made. Again, can't say this enough. All Vegas cares about is a 50% bet on each team. That's what they're looking for. That's why the odds change. That's why the spreads change. It's all about the money for them, because if they can get those teams at 50-50, they win. Period. Plain and simple. Last night, I got very, very lucky on a parlay and a few of the bets yesterday because one of my picks, obviously it is Thursday, it is well before this podcast comes out, but I was looking at the under for the Green Bay Packers, got lucky with quite a few missed field goals and some other scores that we had there. But also did some player bets, which I normally don't do. And for those of you jumping into the gambling strategy a little bit here, for those of you that do bet on it, honestly, you're looking for that consistency. You're looking for that hot hand, more or less, because all Vegas is really looking at is kind of the average. What are they doing? How are they doing it? Why are they doing it? So for anybody who is betting on those, again, I normally don't, but I took a chance on Deebo Samuel to score a touchdown anytime. Got lucky off of that. Normally Deebo's a solid wide receiver for the Commanders there, and Daniels. So took a throwing pass anytime during the game with Jordan Love and Daniels, and then the under as well. So I got very lucky on that. The under was looking great the whole entire game. At the end it did get a little nervous. But it was 48.5, and honestly, I really didn't think they were going to hit 45, but they were, just over that 45 mark. So, speaking of the players that are injured, what's the latest on the 49ers? We got Brock Purdy, who didn't practice with a left shoulder and toe injury, and the backup is Mac Jones. He's next in line if Brock Purdy can't go. And to make matters worse, George Kittle landed on IR with a hamstring injury. And the earliest he could return is October 12th when they visit the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But it could be longer. The coaching staff, they didn't want to put a full timetable on George Kittle. And, that's understandable. That is definitely a player that you want healthy. That's a player that you want out there on the field. But because he is on the IR, he will be missing at least 4 games. So he'll be missing the Saints this week, and then the Cardinals, Jaguars, and the Rams. 2 of those being division rivals. So this is going to hurt a little bit, especially if Brock Purdy isn't there. As a Patriots fan as well, nothing against Mac Jones, but he is going to be set up a little bit better there with that offense with the 49ers. But having Brock Purdy out, a clutch quarterback that could be deep, and also having George Kittle out as well. Again, we'll kind of see how the odds fall with those games when it is all said and done. Keeping it within the division, any other key injuries to watch, we have the Seattle Seahawks, who are or could possibly be without 3 of their top 6 defensemen. And that is huge. I know that defense hasn't been what it was since, Sherman and the boys. God, that had been a decade ago now. Feeling old. feeling old, but that's all right. We're good. We're good. I think I'll recover from that. But so we have the 6 defensive backs that could possibly be out against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we also have switching to the AFC side. We have the Las Vegas Raiders. Their star tight end Brock Bowers is questionable with a knee injury. So we will again. These are guys that can easily change a spread. They can definitely go from different things once they get to that actual out portion of it. So, right now we have the Seattle Seahawks, which are 3-point underdogs to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I can definitely see that or the odds changing for that. I think the Steelers could possibly jump up to easily jump up to a 5-point lead or a 5-point spread in that sense, possibly even 6. So we'll keep an eye on that. Las Vegas Raiders, for anybody who is interested, they are right now, where are they? Las Vegas is playing anyways, they are playing the Los Angeles Chargers Monday night, and right now they're only 3-point underdogs. So we will keep that going. And then also not to be overlooked, as the 49ers just signed Eddie Pinheiro after cutting Jake Moody. People want to say it's a bold move, but, let's face it, he missed a 27-yard field goal, had another blocked last week. So field goal kickers are very valuable. Again, we saw quite a few missed field goals. Obviously, they were a lot farther away than the 27 and 35 that got blocked. But they are very, very valuable to a football team. They are very, very valuable to an over and under. So, again, these are things that can shift the tide. That was a very low-scoring Seahawks game where it should have been a very high-scoring Seahawks 49ers game last week. As we all know, my picks last week did not age very well. They really honestly didn't age past the 1 p.m. game. So here we are. I'll make a couple more picks here for you all here in the next little bit. But another thing to keep our eye on is the new kickoff rule. And it's not really a new kickoff rule. It's just a slight change to the rule. But it can have a huge impact on the lines moving forward. In week 1, the NFL had the highest kickoff return rate in 15 years, thanks to a touchback that is now coming out to the 35-yard line. It's a major factor moving forward because turnover margins get calculated into odds in multiple ways. One of them being just their own set standard. Likewise with their with the power rankings as well. So we talk about turnover margin, but we can also now talk about points per game. God, another 100 years ago, back when Devin Hester was playing for the Chicago Bears, it was always one of those where if Devin Hester didn't score that touchdown, if you didn't have that kick returner or punt returner that didn't score that touchdown, I mean, that was a huge factor. That was a guaranteed under. That was a guarantee almost bet on the other side. But when they did, that definitely brought those Vegas numbers and calculations a lot closer to what it is. So this is something to keep our eye on, especially throughout this year. Tweak some things and, again, figure out how much turnover margin and special teams points specifically are going to kind of play into our equations for lines and predicting those lines. The NFL futures after week 1, of course, got a huge shakeup with the Bills beating the Ravens. They are now the favorites to win the Super Bowl at plus 550. The Ravens are plus 650. The Packers showing strong even after last night's Thursday night game. They looked absolutely incredible on defense. They are plus 700. I'm sure they will be right there depending upon what the Ravens do to the Cleveland Browns this week. But yeah, they'll be in the Super Bowl talk for the rest of the season. Eagles likewise are plus 700, Chiefs plus 1100. So we'll keep an eye on those. And, as the strategy tip for any type of futures is to keep sprinkling that confetti. Keep it. Don't give into the hype, or give into the hype, whatever it might be. That'll be a little bit later on in the season. I say that, but right now we are giving into the hype of the Packers. I gave into it before the season even started, picking them to win the NFC East. So keep those up. Keep an eye out on those. And again, sprinkle it. Pick your teams. Pick that one team. Place a little bet later on a different team, and keep on going there. It's a very long season, and by the end of it, if you have 4 or 5 teams and you're going to turn a great profit with the amount of with the bet sizing that you did, please do that one. And please keep in mind, again, another strategy for when it comes to futures, anywhere between 1 to 3% of your max bank that you currently have. It's all you should be placing on the futures, nothing more, because 1, that return on investment isn't going to be there, and 2, it's just not worth it. It's not worth putting that big bet on a future that we now have to play 18 weeks of football for, plus the playoffs. So enjoy it. Week 1 is here. Week 1 concluded. Week 2 kicked off last night with the Green Bay Packers and the Washington Commanders. So Sunday, my games that I have picked right now are the Ravens at 11.5 over the Browns, and the Steelers at -3 over the Seahawks. I really like those 2 games. As I said, the Seahawks could possibly be missing 3 of their 6 defensive backs. Even if they're not, they're going to be banged up. And we saw what Aaron Rodgers can do with this offense. Yes, the Steelers or the Seahawks defense is most likely a little bit better than the Jets defense, but I believe the Steelers in that 3-point line is a little low. I would have put that automatically more towards that 5.5 point line. And then the Ravens and the Browns, it's a divisional game. Anything can happen. But the Ravens, I think, are going to come out pissed from that loss. That loss that the Ravens suffered was huge, and I think that emotion is going to spread over into this week. I know you don't bet on emotion. I know you don't do that, but honestly, I could easily see a 40-0, 40-7 game. Ravens over the Browns. So those are the 2 games that I really like this week, and you can get all of my picks on my Facebook or on X at LuciferM1989. I got all the things right down here, so feel free. Please follow or subscribe to any of those stations, as you will see all of my picks there. I believe I was 9-6-1 against the spread week 1, and then 9-7 calling the over and under. So still tweaking that formula a little bit here and there, getting that database set and ready. But when that is ready, you will know, because those wins will increase significantly. Now, as we move from the NFL to the NHL, we are at the end of the kind of getting towards the end of the offseason in the NHL. We have about a month, about 30 days left until the regular season starts. So why are Wild fans panicking over Kaprizov? Reports say he turned down an 8-year, $128 million extension. And the craziest part about this story is that everybody is claiming they did not leak this out. This would have been the biggest contract ever. He's in his final year of his $45 million deal, and the Wild GM, Bill Guerin, says fans shouldn't panic, but the uncertainty is real. And absolutely it can be. This was one of your best players on the ice, actually your best player on the ice for the Wild. So him not accepting that $128 million, which next year he could probably get that, but in terms of betting and spread, I wouldn't be too worried. The only thing that I'm worried about here for when it comes to betting on the Wild for the future, even though they're not in the top 5 of the Stanley Cup, winning the Stanley Cup, is going to be that trade. Come mid-season, beginning of the season, we don't know exactly where or why he's going to land, but that is definitely something very possible, and that's why I wanted to report on that, is because him being dealt somewhere else could definitely affect those lines and other such things, and even futures as we start getting into division winners here. So camaraderie and expectations. 44 players showed up, including all 23 from what happened at Team USA's Olympic camp. 2 days, no systems, no drills, no strategy, nothing on the ice. It was purely a camaraderie type exploration with those 44 players, and the coaches wanted to lay down the expectations. So we had 44 players show up, all 23 from the Four Nations roster, minus Matthew Tkachuk, who is rehabbing surgery, were there, and the message was clear. The 2026 games are a chance to make a statement for U.S. hockey. And I know it's been a while since USA has taken the gold. It has been a very long time, but as the hockey world is saying, that level between Canada and USA used to be, here. Now it's here. It is probably one of, if not the biggest rivalry in the world when it comes down to these things. Again, let's take anything, whether or not it's the Ryder Cup, whether it's actual football or soccer as we call it here in America. This is a absolutely huge rivalry, and to have the NHL players back is just going to strengthen that rivalry, and it honestly is going to be a lot of fun. The futures haven't changed for the Olympics at all, but again, those rosters will be set come January. It's very fun to kind of predict and, talk with your friends and say, hey, who do we got going on there? Obviously, we know the 6 that were originally picked for the teams, but that's not the only drama that we have going on here in the NHL. We have to talk about and ask that question of what's the drama with the Hughes brothers. Another thing that could completely change the aspect of this, and I'm not saying that the New Jersey Devils will jump up in any means in the NHL Stanley Cup, future odds, but Canucks Quinn Hughes responded to President Jim Rutherford's comment that he'd rather play with Jack and Luke in New Jersey. So Quinn has 2 years left on his contract, and while he's, said little, Jack admitted he was surprised Rutherford spoke out publicly. It's adding fuel to almost this unnecessary fire. Not sure why Rutherford, who is a very experienced manager, would come out and say something like that. I mean, he's won Stanley Cups in the past with a couple teams in the NHL already, but to sit here and say that one of your best players and one of the original 6 that got selected to the U.S. hockey team, to sit here and say that he would rather play with his brothers in New Jersey rather than playing here in Vancouver. Even if you knew it wasn't going to be possible, you could have said, you know what? Quinn wants to play with his brothers, and we're going to do everything possible to try to get them here in Vancouver. There's everything that was read made it sound like Quinn is going to make its way to New Jersey. So when is that going to be? Is that going to be this season? Is it going to be next season? Again, there's 2 years left on there, but if you're going to do that, what's the price? So this will be something, a little developing story that we'll continue to watch. We'll see if it comes to fruition or not. But like I said, it's not going to skyrocket the Devils into something, maybe on the conference side, sure, of making the playoffs. But, again, it's not going to be, huge with Quinn Hughes going down there. But right now, NHL futures, we still have the Panthers as the favorite at plus 600, Hurricanes at plus 800, Golden Knights plus 850, Oilers and Avalanche at plus 900. Now, in October, when the NHL season starts, again, follow me on Facebook and X at Luciferm1989. They're all right here. I will do picks every Saturday. Saturday is the NHL day. Saturday is that day that it seems most of the teams play. Has some of the most games being played that week. So you'll see my picks there. Obviously, I will be giving them here, but make sure you listen when the podcast episode drops at 6 p.m. Sorry, 6 a.m. We drop 6 a.m. Saturday because you do have some early games starting 1, 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're going to go from the ice to the greens as Team USA has some bonding time at the Procore Championship. So how is Team USA's bonding before the Ryder Cup? Well, we are in Fall FedEx Cup, which pretty much just means that the top 50 is still changeable. We have about 7 events that these players can go to try to get into the top 50. And when you are in that top 50, you get into all the signature events, obviously working your way down, trying to keep your card, trying to finish in the top 125 and the top 100 as well for those exemptions, and to continue playing on the PGA Tour. So that's what this mainly is. So you normally don't see a lot of the big stars playing in these, but here you had every single player except Xander Schauffele, who, congratulations, welcomed in a new baby, and Bryson DeChambeau, who is obviously a live player, so he can't compete on the PGA, even though he did file. He did ask if he could play here, and obviously they denied him. But at the Procore Championship, normally Tuesdays practice rounds are very kind of intense. You have the players trying to figure out the layout, whether it's a course that they've played 1,000 times or not. It doesn't matter. They go through that same routine. They go through that habit. But here, because we have the Ryder Cup, there were reports of Sam Burns whistling on the range, Justin Thomas Lavin, Cantley telling storm stories from previous years, Spawn showing off a USA jersey, Scheffler and Henley trading jabs, and Captain Keegan Bradley was everywhere. He wasn't playing. He was not playing. Full disclosure, he was not playing in here, but he was there supporting his team, Team USA. He had a full week going on for camaraderie within the team. Again, as we know, golf is a very individual base. So it's very much you're alone on an island. So this is a different change of pace, and you got to have these guys meld and mesh. You have to be there when they're playing with each other on the course within their teams. You have to make sure that they're supporting each other. So they had a lot of team building, and a team dinner. Almost forgot about that team dinner on Tuesday, which Bryson DeChambeau actually flew in for. He's enjoying his time at his home in Texas. But what about Bryson DeChambeau? He's the lone live golfer on the USA side, where the European team, they have John Rahm and Terrell Hatton on there. But Bryson understands that team play. Being a live golfer, he understands that. They came in second. The Crushers did for the team championship. So there's somebody who's very familiar with this type of format. It is definitely Bryson DeChambeau. And he's gone above and beyond. It's being noticed by his fellow teammates. So he flew in for the team dinner and events that they had this past week before the tournament started, making sure he's connected. It's winning teammates over. It's, again, he knows what it takes to be a part of that team. He does it during those 13 weeks of playing on live golf. So Captain Keegan Bradley says that he's been flying in for all the meetings. The meetings have been in person. So he is making strides to make sure that he is there. Again, Bryson, great golfer. Not really sure what to expect with him out there at Bethpage Black. Honestly, it's going to depend on his driving accuracy. If he can keep it in the fairway, it's going to be great. If not, he is going to struggle, but he is a clutch player. He hits the shots when he needs to. He makes the putts when he needs to. So, Ryder Cup odds, we are 2 weeks away. USA is a favorite at -135. Team Europe plus 140, and the tie is at plus 1400. So I don't have any official picks yet. Still going through and working through my analysis of each player and the appearances and whatnot, because again, we have some consistent experience, and then likewise we have some long-term experience on the European side, and then again the not so good experience on that side where the USA is very much pretty even keel. So we'll see how all that lands when it's all said and done. But ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap on this round of Tea Time to Overtime. From the greens to the ice and every yard in between, we've covered the plays and the odds. Think you've spotted the next big parlay or upset? Let us know. Subscribe, rate, and follow for your weekly dose of insights, predictions, and betting tips. And remember, play smart, bet responsibly, and enjoy the game. This is Tea Time to Overtime. See you next time.